Hi guys, it's Just Honest Fiction, and welcome back to my channel. As many of you know, the next From Blood and Ash book, The War of Two Queens, is about to be released later this month. So in honor of that, I'm going to be doing a predictions and theories video of everything I think that's going to go down in The War of Two Queens. Alright guys, so this video will contain spoilers for From Blood and Ash, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and A Crown of Gilded Bones. If you have not read those books, please do not watch this video. If you would like a refresher on these books before you jump into the new book, I have a recap video for all three books. I'll leave it linked in the cards and in the description, so please utilize those. Now, I will break this up into two parts. So the beginning is just going to be From Blood and Ash content and just my guesses and theories of what's going to happen based on From Blood and Ash. Then I'm going to have a spoiler alert, and we're going to go into Shadow and the Ember, because there is a prophecy in that I think is going to play a huge role in A War of Two Queens. So if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out both my Goodreads and Instagram. They are linked down below in the description. With all that out of the way, let's talk about my theories regarding the War of the Two Queens. All right, jumping in, we have who is the Dark One. So I believe the Dark One is actually Malik and Isbeth's son. So if you remember from A Crown of Gilded Bones, Isbeth and Malik had a child, and Isbeth believes Eliana actually killed that child. I believe that child actually survived, might have been raised with Alistair or by Alistair, because Alistair seems to be working with the Unseen. And he actually, that child grew up to be the Dark One. That would explain how he has powers, because he is descended from Malik, and he's able to control the Craven. And I believe he is the one that is still controlling the Unseen. If you remember, the Unseen are this like group of Atlanteans that are like fighting for Atlantia that attacked Poppy. But they also were the ones that had the germs, I believe, and were able to, like, germs being like the dead bodies. So if he's able to control them, I believe he has some sort of magic. So that's what makes me think that the Dark One is actually the child of Isbeth and Malik, thereby being the grandchild of Nyktos. Next up, I think Leo's alive. If you don't remember who Leo is, maybe his name was Leopold, but it was short for Leo. He was the man that raised Poppy, and he was said to have like red hair, and he also is a possible contender to be the child of Malik and Isbeth, although I don't really think that's true. But I do think he's alive. We never find out if he was actually like killed. We know the mom was killed, but like they never really go into depth with what happened with Leo, and I just feel like he's gonna come into play. I don't know if it's gonna be in the War of Two Queens, might be in the next book, but I feel like he's alive and doing something somewhere. And my next theory is regarding Malik, Castiel's brother. So one, I'm like 99.9% sure he's a double agent. I think that he's actually just pretending to be working with the Ascended, and he's actually going to figure out a way to like free Castiel or try to free Castiel. I also have a feeling he was in love with the Revenant or something, because when I was doing my reread, there was a part where Isbeth is cutting the Revenant's throat and explaining like how she can be reborn and doesn't die, and Malik like almost jumps up to protect her. So I feel like for some reason Malik might have a relationship with that Revenant. Also, question on the Revenants, I think that they might end up being good. So I feel like Poppy is able to get emotions or read emotions from the Revenants that she's not able to do with the Ascended. And I know Nyktos called them an abomination, but I don't know. It seems like that one Revenant, that one that we see Isbeth torture, actually has a good side of her. She talks about protecting the people when Poppy's kind of going on a rampage and wants to kill everyone. So I'm interested to see what happens with the Revenants. I mean, we do know that Poppy now has the power to kill them with the Draken, but still, I feel like there's going to be, I don't know, something's going to happen with them. All right, and my next theory is regarding Tawney, and it does touch a little bit into A Shadow and the Ember, so I'm going to elaborate on it when I get there. But Tawney, I believe, when at the end of A Crown of Gilded Bones, she has some sort of illness. We don't know what it is. And her hair has turned white after being seen by a healer, and I believe that she's actually harboring something very dangerous, and I think that when she awakens, she is going to be a threat to the people surrounding her in Atlantia. So that's, I don't know. I have a little bit of evidence to back that up, but that's what I believe. I've also seen a lot of people shipping Kieran and Tawney. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. The story about how Kieran lost his first love because of a genetic woven disease was just like heartbreaking, so I'm not sure if I'm ready for him to fall in love with anybody else. But anyway, that's what I think is going to happen with Tawney. I think that there's gonna be some sort of threat because of the illness that was inflicted upon her by Isbeth. And the next two are just generalizations of things I want to see more of in the War of Two Queens before we jump into a Shadow in the Ember, like crossover prophecy stuff. So for one, I love Kieran and Reever. Like, they're arguing and fighting. I hope that keeps up into the War of Two Queens because I love that like dynamic. I think it's so funny. And the next, and most important, is we better get the joining in the next book. I am 100% team joining. I want to see it. It needs to happen, and I'm just very hopeful. Also, I want to, obviously all of us are interested in what happens with Castile. I'm really hoping Castile is able to bond with his brother when he is taken by the Queen. I know J-Law released the first 5 chapters of A War of Two Queens, and so far it's not looking good. So I'm very worried, but also so anxious. I just cannot wait for this book to come out. All right, so now moving into Shadow in the Ember spoilers. So if you have not read A Shadow in the Ember, please do not watch further. This all has to deal with things that we found out in A Shadow in the Ember. So first off, most important, I am really hoping that in A War of Two Queens, I feel like this is gonna how A War of Two Queens is gonna end, that Poppy is going to be able to save Iris, bring her back to the Elysium, thereby waking Sera, and Sera and Poppy are just going to kick some butt because we know that Sera was trained to be an assassin and can fight, and then you have Poppy, and it's going to be so good, and I'm so excited, and that's like my main thing that I'm hoping for that happens. So next up, I'm going to talk about the prophecy. I have tried really hard to memorize it and recite it for you guys. I can't do that, so I'm going to read off my computer, which is something I absolutely hate doing, but just so you guys can know what or at least reference what I'm talking about when I talk about the prophecy. All right, so the prophecy in A Shadow in the Ember goes, "From the desperation of golden crowns and born of mortal flesh, a great primal power rises as the heir to the lands and seas, to the skies and all the realms, a shadow in the ember, a light in the flame, to become a fire in the flesh. When the stars fall from the night, the great mountains crumble into the seas, and old bones raise their swords beside the gods. The false one, born of the same great and primal power in the mortal realm, a first daughter with blood full of fire, fated for the once promised king, and the second daughter with blood full of ash and ice, the other half of the future king. Together, they will remake the realm and usher in the end." So that is the prophecy we get, and I'm going to break it down and give you my theories regarding like what's actually going to happen in the War of Two Queens. All right, so I have a few different theories regarding the prophecy. I thought I had it completely figured out, and then J-Law threw a huge wrench in my plan and said that Sera is definitely not the first daughter. So now I have like a lot of different ideas. The main thing is we have to figure out who the first and second daughter is. So a lot of people are saying that Poppy is the second daughter, and they're trying to figure out who the first one. I've seen some people say that Tawney might end up being one of the daughters. I'm not sure how that would work. Another theory I've seen is that Poppy actually had a twin, which would make sense because she is descended from Nyktos, and Malik and Iris are twins, so twins do run in this family. So maybe Isbeth actually, there is another daughter. Some have even said the other daughter might be the Revenant, which I'm not really sure why Isbeth would do that and kill her other daughter or turn her into whatever she is. Also, they don't look similar. I guess they don't have to be identical twins, but I would think there would be some similarities, but I'm not sure. So a theory that I am going with, and I could be completely off base, I actually just came up with it while I was doing my reread, and I have to go back. I'm sure it's probably not right. What if Poppy's pregnant? Because the only reason I say this is she was really stuck on the boat, but that also could be the fact that she was on a boat and she's not used to being on a boat and she was scared. But then also at the very end, she crosses her stomach in order to get the sword. Now I understand when you're pulling out a sword, you do cross her stomach, but I just feel like it was weird for J-Law to like throw that in there and to like really like mention it. So what if Poppy's actually pregnant and her daughter with Castile is the second daughter? Now there's a lot of possibilities this isn't right. I'm pretty sure J-Law even makes a point to say that Castile is still taking some sort of tonic to stop pregnancy, but I don't know. It's a possibility. So please let me know down below who you think the first and second daughter are. I have no idea. It could be anything. I'm so excited to find out. And just some more evidence that Poppy might actually be the first daughter and not the second daughter. It says that the first daughter was fated to marry the once promised king in the prophecy. Well, we find out that Poppy's ascension was actually her marrying Castile's brother Malik, who was the promised king. He was going to be the king of Atlantia. So that actually fits her pretty well. So the more I read, the more I think that Poppy is actually the first daughter, and we haven't figured out who the second daughter is yet. All right, the next theory surrounding the prophecy is who is the false one. So in the prophecy, it talks about a false one who has fallen from glory and then is able to like rise again. I'm 99.9% sure that is actually Kolis, who we see in A Shadow in the Ember. So I've also seen some people saying that the Dark One that attacked Poppy when she was a child could also actually have been Kolis, because he did have the power to control the Craven and control, oh, he doesn't control, I guess he just controls the Craven, and he has shadows all surrounding him, which sounds like something Kolis could do. So there is a possibility Kolis is the Dark One. As I talked about earlier, I believe the Dark One is actually Isbeth and Malik's child, but we will say it could definitely be Kolis. There are some clues that it could be. So either way, I'm 99.9% sure the faded one they're talking about in the prophecy is actually Kolis. All right, guys, those are all my War of Two Queens theories and predictions. Please let me know down in the comments below what your predictions are, even if they are drastically different than mine. I want to hear them. I love this series, and I want to chat about it with you guys. So I said this already, but I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye.